your soul, oh my lord.
Are we in here? My pop filter's a little popped up.
What's going on, dude?
Getting popped up in here.
What?
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 What up, punks?
Boy!
Welcome back to another episode of our podcast, The Pop Culture Punks.
That's the one.
I'm Phil.
I'm Josh.
Yeah, buddy.
You know it.
Just completely altered. Just completely changed the game with that one.
You know it.
Yeah, this week we will be talking about a little-known movie called Antman and the Wasp, sequel to 2015's Antman.
Man, 3 years?
3 years. I never even saw that one in theaters.
I did. It was good.
Was it?
Paul
it's funny
Rudd,
because
man.
it's opposite. I saw this one in theaters, but not the first one.
Interesting.
But yeah, we'll be talking about that. Before
Yup.
we jump into that, you been up to anything?
Sir, I've been pretty darn busy with some personal artsy projects, one of which was 2 new t-shirts that just went on our Redbubble and Threadless, which are, ladies and gentlemen, we have 2 never-before-seen designs for the hit band known around the world as the Silver Dollars.
80s boy band.
80s boy band. We have their premiere first launch t-shirt when they first aired their single in 1982. And
What was their single?
I've Got Your Back, Baby by
I thought it
the
was Hot and Bothered.
Silverback Gorillas. No, that was their number 2 hit single.
Okay, yeah.
And
That
then
was
the
their
other,
84 single, yeah.
The other one was Gorillas Never Die. And then their later single actually predicted the death of Harambe. And it was We
snap.
Stand as
Okay.
Brothers. And it was, oof.
Oh, jeez.
That's a hard, that one's hard on the
That's
heart.
hard hitting.
That's
yeah.
heavy. But that those 2 shirts are now on our Redbubble and Threadless. So we have their EST 1982 shirt and the Silver Dollars World Tour 1989 shirt.
Yeah, the 89 one, it was that
Pretty
pre-hiatus.
That was like one of them went off to, I forgot their names. It's Spike Manola, Walnut, Wally Snow, and oh shoot, what did I name the other guy? It was like something Hollyhock. I can't remember. So
one of them split off, did a solo project for a few years.
And then the other guys were like, well, they kind of had a realization of like, well, he's kind of like the main dude in the band. And so then they all came back together. They had their hit song, We Stand as Brothers, and
full world tour in 89.
I missed the train. From. I'm kind of bummed. Like I missed
I missed out on it.
So.
You can't find the music anywhere. It's, none of it's on Spotify, Apple Music, or anything.
Well, here's my theory. So
dang penis Jew.
You ruined it all.
You ruined it all.
That was the big scandal back in the days.
Okay.
They found out that the whole reason they started was they were inspired by the grand story of Penis Chew and his adventures across the world. And so they were like, we can't have that because that book is very mediocre and no band in their right mind would ever be inspired by this book. And
so they
no
erased
band
that
of this
part of
so they
history.
just right up.
And then people
the
found out in the early 90s and kind of
So
shunned
we're-
them from existence.
We're breaking it right here first,
right here, right
folks.
now.
And-
Resurrecting original tour T-shirts.
Darn right. And fun fact, the style of all 3 gorillas in the band, they actually went on to inspire some pretty famous artists of themselves. So Spike went on to inspire the red-haired dude of Mike Shinoda from Linkin Park.
All right.
Little known fact. And Wally, Vanilla Ice. Vanilla
Easy.
Ice is
Boom.
quoted as loving Wally, Walnut, Snow. It's the thing. And
then the third one that nobody knows
Hollyhock,
his name.
yeah. he was kind of like, he was like not as out there, but that was actually why Axl Rose of the Every Rose, that dude, signature bandana was from Hollyhock. Yeah.
Although isn't Guns N' Roses from the 70s?
Was he in Guns N' Roses?
Isn't that what that song is?
No, I thought that's his own song. I'm pretty sure.
Didn't Axl Rose was in Guns N' Roses because then him and Slash had like a falling out, didn't they?
Oh, I think you're right.
But I don't know what that song is from.
Sweet Child of Mine.
Sweet Child, that's the song I'm thinking of.
No. I'm thinking Every Rose.
I don't think that's the same guy. I think that's a different guy, isn't
Are
it?
you sure?
He was in Poison, wasn't he?
Yeah, I'm pretty
He's
sure.
the lead singer
I'm
of
pretty
Poison.
sure Every Rose Has Its Thorn that's Poison. Whoops.
Yeah.
Well, whatever.
He got his inspiration from the wrong guy.
The physical attribute of the bandana was a signature look of Hollyhock from the early 80s. And who did it first? One of the reasons they canceled
It's
the
up
band.
in the air, yeah.
They can't, people were throwing it all around, and it was on MTV.
Too much
one point.
controversy, yeah.
People just were like, you know what? Who cares? It's bandana. Nobody wears bandanas anymore, unless you're going bald, which, they were. So
They were, because they're gorillas.
Because they're gorillas.
But they got silver backs.
But
so
they got
fine.
silver backs, and so it don't matter. So you can find both those shirts on Redbubble and Threadless if you're interested in supporting the band. They're not doing much now. I heard they're hanging
Zero
out
royalties
the
go to them.
zoo.
It all goes to us.
It all goes to us because we are breaking the story for
Yeah.
them, and they're like, "Look, dudes, this is not our life anymore. You can just whatever you."
They just
make
gave us
on
all
it."
the rights.
They're like, "We'll be surprised if you sell a single one of these shirts, but if you sell a single one, you can take the whole $1 that comes with it." And we were like, "Thank you very much.
Let's go.
Let's go. Done."
So yeah, we got those 2 designs.
Yep.
Maybe
So
a
I've been
couple
up to
more
that.
coming down the pipeline.
Yep. And then we got 2 more coming down the pipes. So
Yeah, buddy.
not to those caliber. Those are pretty
Top tier.
top tier items.
Yep.
But we do have 2 more designs coming down. We've got a Posy Vibes shirt with some dope look. It's way more punk. It's kind of aesthetic, very much a punk t-shirt aesthetic.
Yeah, buddy.
And we have another shirt coming that is a callback way back. Take it way back. Take it way back. Logic.
Is that Logic?
That was Logic. So we're going to take it way back to episode 17, Tail Brigade Origins, when a certain individual who shall not be named said, "This is the order of the dining out hierarchy. It's fast food, fast dining, fine dining, Applebee's."
So that shirt is
So
coming to you.
we officially have a shirt made.
33 episodes.
33 episodes later.
36 episodes later.
Literally took me not that long to make, but it's here.
You were just waiting for the inspiration.
It's here.
Just waiting on the inspiration.
Kind of want to see if Applebee's would actually hit us back with that. That'd be pretty funny. Like if they tweeted,
at
they're
them.
like, "Yeah, can we buy that design off you?" Like, dude, I would sell it in a heartbeat.
Like, sure,
Never
you can
gonna
have it.
happen, but oh my goodness,
That's
that'd be
funny.
amazing. So that's what I've been up to, is just getting some of those shirts finalized. I caught up on the little pop culture stuff I've done this week. I did catch up on South Park, so I'm up to the most recent episode, which is the Buddha box. It's fantastic.
Oh, that's the one I need to watch.
It's fantastic.
Is that the
so
most recent
funny.
one?
Yeah, it's
Okay.
fantastic.
Are they on a break till the spring?
They could be.
Every
'Cause
freaking show, man.
the way-
Attack on Titan, This Is
Yeah,
Us,
I
The
don't
Good
know.
Place. Every show I'm watching is literally taking a break.
it's probably to get people to come back.
Yeah.
You
I think it's pretty par for the
Yeah,
course.
it's
The holidays
whatever.
and all that jazz.
Yep. But
But it sucks.
I love the introduction of the PC babies this season, and just I was like, oh, what are these PC babies crying about now? And it's like they're actual babies. It's amazing. And they're like, apparently it's a government state funded thing versus a county thing, and they're like crying. He's like, PC babies, we got work to do, and they're like crying. He's like, oh, fine, we won't build the building. And it's like they had their first protest and we missed it. It's fantastic. Everybody should watch. It's so good.
It's awesome.
fantastic.
The Man Bear Pig stuff is hilarious.
Oh, dude, frickin' the return of Al Gore was glorious.
I love how they kind of
apologize.
apologized to him, saying like you were actually right.
Right. It's like, oh, people are just gonna make fun of us. Oh yeah, kind of sucks when people make fun of you, huh? Like, even when you're right. It's so good. Mamba Pig. We have to kill Mamba Pig.
You're
I'm
not
super
super serial
serial.
right now, are you? You're not serial.
We're sorry. That doesn't sound serial at all. It's so good. Mamba Pig. Satan v. Mamba Pig was greatest anime fight ever. Greatest anime
That was
fight
fantastic.
in the history of anime. It's fantastic.
And then his spirit comes out.
Little
and he goes
known
to heaven.
fact: Satan goes to heaven.
Yep.
Which
When
that
Satan
was
dies, he
news
goes to
me.
heaven.
That was news to me. Everybody dies. I was like,
That was
what
great.
is this? This is South Park, baby.
Oh, gosh.
It was great. So I caught up on South Park. Absolutely freaking fantastic. That show is hilarious. And little music thing. So I've been realizing that I can't listen to video-based stuff at work because I'm too tempted to watch the people, even if they're just sitting there talking. It's too enticing to just sit there and watch them talking about it.
Oh,
So
yeah.
I
I'm
jumped
the
back
same way.
into the music stuff, and I've heard about them before. but the glitch mob. So they're more like techno housey type vibe, but it's a little more punchy, I think. But it's not quite like Cell Dweller, Blue Stally, like rock industrial metal type sound. But
cool.
So it's good.
I've heard of them. I don't know
Yeah.
if I've heard them though.
What was the
I've
album?
probably heard a song by them.
What was the album I listened to today? The album I was jamming was Love, Death, Immortality. So it was good.
Dope.
It's a good jam. That's
Dope
it.
sauce.
That's really
That's
it. I don't have a lot.
Small little thing.
Small
there.
life right now. Till this
Small life.
This other project
Till
is
your
done.
other project's done. I've been dabbling here and there in a lot of different things.
Dabbling,
I finally got back into Red Dead after like 3 weeks.
Nice.
Pokemon made me put it down for a while, but I beat Pokemon, so beat too. I completed the Pokédex and everything. So
Really?
the only thing I haven't done is Battle Red, which I don't think I'll do because it's
You
too
like
much
Uber?
work. No, it's just too much work to get him to show up.
Oh.
You have to beat 6 master trainers
Oh.
and then beat the
no.
league a second time. Which
Oh,
I
no.
I have beat the entire game. I beat all the gym leaders twice, so like both their incarnations, and I beat the league twice, which was
Got
a
it.
cakewalk after.
Cool.
And I caught Mewtwo and completed the Pokédex.
Nice.
Which took like 32 hours.
Nice.
So then after that, I was able to jump back into Red Dead, which has been fun again. It's a good game.
Tight.
What else have I been up to? I started up Akira again. I think Pokemon kind of absorbed me for those
Derailed
2
you for
weeks.
a bit.
So
Yep.
I've been
That'll do
trying
that.
to dabble in a few things again. So I picked up Akira, and I'm on the 3rd volume now, and that's getting pretty good. Caught up on some TV. I was out sick one day, so I caught up on a bunch of animated shows. I watched
Nice.
South Park. I haven't watched the newest one yet, the Buddha Box one.
Buddha Box is great.
I'm caught up on Attack on Titan now.
Yes, you are.
Which, oh my
Dude,
gosh.
did you see the post-credit thing?
Dude,
I
what
missed
the
it the
heck?
first time.
I wouldn't have ever watched it if it wasn't for you.
Okay, good. Because one of my coworkers,
I don't watch the credits. So.
Yeah, I got 2 of my coworkers hooked on it, and I had just watched that episode, and he and I happened to watch it at the same time, and he asked me the next day, he was like, dude, did you, like, last episode was nuts. I was like, man, that was crazy. He's like, did you see that thing? And I was like, what thing? For whatever reason, they put, because they're going on hiatus until the spring, like, the most cryptic, haunting, freaky...
Dude, Mikasa's face in that thing... Oh.
Something happened, and it's about to be bananas.
I didn't like look too
I don't
much
know.
into it.
Oh, I've completely,
But like people on
I'm gonna
Reddit
find
who
out.
have read the manga said like you don't even know. Like
Oh,
they're
frick.
basically just like
Oh,
you're
jeez.
about to be blown away.
Oh,
so I'm
boy.
just like I don't want to wait till April.
Oh my goodness.
Hopefully it doesn't get postponed. Hopefully they're on a good schedule now.
Yeah,
and
it's
we're
just-
good to go.
the way that some of those like last little bits that happened at the end of the season, and just some of the little things that are out there in play.
I'm
that
curious
could
to see
happen.
if somebody played
Oof.
because there's like a really quick like progression of frames that go flashes before that scene. I'm curious to see if somebody like has it on YouTube in like frame by frame to see like actually pick apart what they show in those things.
Sure.
I feel like it has something to do with the key
Oh, it's got to.
because we now know like what happened between him and his dad and stuff,
Yep.
but we still don't know like why or
Yeah.
what the heck. So
Well, wasn't it?
Oh gosh.
Because they explain, and I'm trying to be ambiguous. They explain Aaron's dad's thing.
Yep.
And then he explains. Oh gosh, it's absolutely insane. I did not.
They gave us enough to understand why Aaron has the powers he has now.
Yes, and also some of the history that has gone
Yeah.
into.
And what happened to his dad. We
Yep.
know that.
Yeah.
But we don't know why.
Which
We don't know why his dad was involved in any of this in the first
Yeah.
place.
Which I did predict. I actually predicted that part, and I was completely blown away of like how deep that. See, to me, this show is the example of there are things that I was like, I was able to take pieces of information throughout the entire show and predict things. But even in the prediction of like getting it right, it wasn't like, see, I knew this was coming. It was like, and so much more. Like there was just
Yep.
so much stuff
Yep.
that when it was just bananas.
I
Oh my
know.
goodness.
It's-
Yeah.
I'm so
Freaking
excited.
Stoked.
Like
dude.
that, just that last little snippet, like so much happens in
Yep.
like 2 seconds.
Yeah.
Like
That's all it
Mikasa's
takes.
face and like the
all it
interactions
takes.
between 3 characters you thought were like close. It's just like, oh,
You're like, something is about to bomb.
I don't
and
want to
it's-
wait.
Yeah.
But I'm sure it'll be awesome.
Yep.
So
Oh yeah.
it's worth the wait.
Definitely.
And then Other than that, I just wanted to throw a quick shout out to Over the Sun.
Yeah, just had the new
Stubbs
single.
Band. They just
Yep.
released a new song, which is a pretty cool jam. So it's called Simmer.
Yep.
And it's on Spotify now. So, and they also have 2 other songs that they released this year, I think.
Yeah.
On there. So, yeah. And then that's pretty much all I've done. Not a ton of stuff other than watching Antman 1 and 2 this last weekend.
Nice.
So yeah. And then got some news stuff on here. There's actually been a lot of stuff happening in the past week. It's kind of crazy. But Switch sales, I don't remember where I saw this, but it was like Switch is at 8.2 million sales now at the 20-month mark, which is beating every console but the PS2, Nintendo DS, Wii, and GBA at their 20-month mark.
Interesting.
So it's doing pretty good still.
Yeah,
I think Pokemon probably helped that a little bit.
you
And
have
then
Smash
Pokemon
coming
next
out.
year and Smash coming out.
Yeah,
I feel like Pokemon next year is just going to accelerate
it's gonna be
things
huge.
because there's a ton of people on Reddit who are basically saying like they're Pokemon fans, but like this game wasn't enough to get them to actually buy the console yet. So, and people like Jacob and my friend Nick, like as soon as that game comes out, they're hopping on. So,
Well, and the other thing too is I guarantee that there's gonna be some other first party titles that are probably gonna come out next year.
yeah.
So I know Travis Strikes Again, which is the
Mhm.
No More Heroes.
Hopefully
third
we'll get
game,
something
I think.
with Metroid.
Yep, Metroid I know is still in the works. DLC for Smash is going to be coming. I wouldn't be surprised
yeah.
if that swings some people. It sounds like they already know who it is, and that they're just finalizing the characters.
Yeah, I think they have all of the
balancing right
characters
now.
finalized. It's more just
Dude, if Banjo-Kazooie is not on that list, I'm gonna throat punch somebody.
Microsoft has said that they would do it.
Exactly. So it could happen. I
Yeah.
really hope. Really, really, really hope.
So yeah, so that's good news for the Switch so far. Hopefully next year it continues to grow. The Game Awards are happening on the 6th, which I didn't realize this was like even a thing. Like I've never watched
Yep.
the Game Awards, but like all of the rumblings that are happening around it, like apparently there's supposed to be 10 plus like game announcements happening at it too.
Really?
So Obsidian is announcing their new role-playing game
Ooh.
that's coming out next year, and it almost looks like a space opera-y type thing. So it'll be interesting to see if it's like their usual isometric role-playing game, or if it's like New Vegas or their other kind of type of role-playing games. Crash Team Racing, I'm pretty sure is going to be announced because there's this girl on PlayStation Access. It's called. They're like a British PlayStation channel.
Yep. Yeah.
And one of the ladies from that channel, she tweeted she got like these 2 red dice from the people saying like keep your eyes peeled on 12/6 or something.
Ooh.
And like there's a couple other things that are like Activision is kind of
Sure.
like gearing to get Crash Team Racing, so I'm stoked on that if
Interesting.
that's a thing because I love Crash Team Racing.
Well, remaster versus new game, that'll be interesting too. Or if
Yeah.
it's just gonna be like a remake.
Even if it's a remake, I'd
That'd be
take
pretty
that
tight.
because if they do anything close to what they did with Spyro and Crash, like
Yeah,
it's
that'll
gonna
be awesome.
It's gonna be
That'd
a
be
hit.
cool.
I feel so.
Tight.
And then there's
The
some
big
rumblings
one.
about Borderlands 3
If that's on the list,
because
bro,
the
oof.
Ubisoft or not Ubisoft, Gearbox publisher, I forget his name, the head of it or whatever. He made some really weird cryptic tweets about the number 3.
Hmm.
And it's kind of ambiguous. Like, is he doing it just to troll people? Because he said something about this time of year reminds me of E3 or something, and the whole thing about E3 was Borderlands 3 was going to be announced there. So people are like, what is he talking about? Like, is this going to happen? So I'm hoping it happens. So
I'm not gonna lie. I really hope it does happen. I'm more concerned that it's gonna happen and then it's gonna be like another 2 years. And so
Yeah.
I think if they're announcing it, they need to be like March 2019 or like
yeah, if they
within the
do
first
announce it, I
half
hope
of
it's next year.
2019.
Otherwise, they better have a good reason for
Yeah.
it taking so long.
Right.
Um,
Hey, new
So,
engine.
yeah.
That could be
Oh, dude.
just mega
I'm
graphics
excited.
overhaul. That'd be gnarly.
the only thing I'm wary of is Borderlands is the type of game that you could somehow
Do
bring
loot stuff.
microtransactions
Yep.
and loot.
Yep.
I think they with 2 in pre-sequel they did really well with that, where like they basically just gave away gold keys for free. Like every week they tweet out a code and you can get gold keys and stuff. I don't think it's monetized, so hopefully they stick to that because
Yeah.
it makes it more fun that way. And it's single player; it's not really online other
Right.
than like co-op stuff. So hopefully they stick to their guns with that. Blade Runner anime is in production, or at least I don't know why I put in production. I don't know if that's confirmed, but it's definitely like happening.
Being worked on.
At Adult Swim and Crunchyroll, with the Cowboy Bebop writer as the creative producer, and then it's written by the director of the Ghost in the Shell anime show.
Interesting.
So
that is quite the team up. So hopefully that turns out. That'd be freaking sweet.
I know.
Blade Runner anime with like two of the best anime creators.
Yeah, dude. I'm excited.
Oof.
Yeah, I saw that and I was like, oh, dude.
Yeah, buddy.
And then, unfortunately, Daredevil,
which is very ironic,
met the chopping block.
Yeah.
So, which is interesting because none of the writers or anybody knew that was happening. Like they said that they had the show like on lock, they have it written, they have it ready to go, and then just Netflix is like, nope, goodbye.
Weird.
So, and it was Netflix too, it's not Disney.
Yeah.
So, I don't know exactly why they did it, because season 3 like wasn't that bad. It wasn't critically panned.
Not at all.
I feel like the numbers were down half, so I don't know.
I feel
really like
if
the
pissed.
writers were like into it and like ready to go, like it seems weird that they just chopped it without notifying anybody.
Yeah, I don't know. I mean,
maybe something's happening. I don't know. Netflix is just like we're disassociating ourselves.
Yeah,
from...
I'm completely sure that Disney is probably gonna take it, because I wouldn't be surprised if they had to they kind of forced them to force their hand or like did something in a way, because I could see that as a PR move where if you're Disney and it comes out, Disney forces Netflix to cancel Deadpool so that they can steal it back. People being like, boo. Mm-hmm. Of just like, they don't really care. Like if it comes out on the Disney Channel, that might get me to get the app.
To be honest, if it is on there, I'll probably get it. And they already announced like a Loki show, a Scarlet Witch and Vision show, and then Bucky and Falcon or whatever.
Yeah.
So I'm like, all right, those all sound actually pretty dope. So.
And part of me wonders, too, if those are going to dive into what happens after Avengers 5. Like, if that's going to be part of the narrative,
even if
is that'll be the continuation
some of them are prequels.
From the cinematic.
I think the Loki one would probably have to be a prequel.
I think the Loki one.
Loki's death was actually death.
Yeah.
And not just another trick.
Yeah, so I thought that I did see that was a prequel and that was part of it. But I wouldn't be surprised if they used... and obviously the Scarlet Witch and Vision one, because of things that happen in Infinity War, would have to be that too. But
unless they reverse things
which could be true.
Yeah. So I don't know. It'll be interesting to see. And I feel like I saw two conflicting reports. One said that Disney was planning on picking up Daredevil in some fashion. I don't know if that means they're just taking the team and transferring them, or if they're just going to restart their own thing. But then I also saw another report where Disney said that they're not planning on doing any of those Marvel shows.
That's weird. That's super
So I would
weird.
take that for what it was and kind of just see what happens. But
yeah.
It sucks because out of all of them, I didn't think Daredevil would get it, and that makes me scared for Punisher. So
I know that's probably
I'm hoping we at least get season 2 and not in a rushed fashion.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah.
But yeah, and I think the only other one left is Jessica Jones, which is going to get chopped. If Daredevil gets chopped, she's getting chopped. So.
I'd be real pissed if it didn't. That would make
I think the only thing is those two have seasons like being worked on right now.
Sure.
So once that season comes out, we're going to see
that'll probably
chopped. Yep.
Yeah, get the money back for it.
It kind of sucks, but hopefully Disney does something with it.
Yeah, and I'm legitimately confused. I just don't know what happened. And I think it's not even as a fan of like, well, I need to know the inner workings of everything, but it's like, well, like what? Like what
Especially
was it?
If the actors and actresses and writers like
they're stoked on it and they're trying.
Yeah.
Like that doesn't make any sense to me. And especially if it was like, oh yeah, and here comes Disney along saying they're like, yeah, we're gonna pick it up and we're gonna do this. It's like, okay, that makes a lot of sense. Like you're just gathering they've been collecting all their stuff. They're going back to get their toys basically for the past 2 years.
They own basically every Marvel character except the Hulk and Spider-Man now.
Right. So that would make sense. But the fact that they've come out and blatantly said like, no, we're not picking that up.
Mm-hmm.
But then other people have said that they are coming back in. So whatever.
Yeah. So it'll be interesting to see.
Corporate crap.
But yeah, I think that's all the news. Another one that I just thought of was I saw that Into the Spider-Verse has 100% on Rotten Tomatoes right now.
I have seen everyone who's talking about that movie say it is unbelievable,
so
which I am unbelievably excited.
Hopefully Sony doesn't take that as an indication that they're capable of making a good Spider-Man movie.
Correct.
And take Spider-Man back. Please don't try a third time.
Yeah.
Just do the animated stuff and leave Spidey to
just give him
Disney.
Yeah, give him back.
Yeah.
Definitely.
So Yeah, that's the main news stuff and all of the pop culture updates. So
Nice.
I can't think of anything else. So.
Tight. So diving in, that late to the pit.
I forgot what we were here for.
Right?
There's a lot of news this week.
Late to the pit,
So yeah,
baby.
late to the pit. Both of us picked up Antman and the Wasp on Black Friday, if you listened last week, you found out, last week.
Last week.
So yeah, I don't know how you want to approach this. What are your initial thoughts?
Well, I literally watched it this morning, so I got up stupid early and watched it before work. And
Dang, dude.
So dedication.
Do it for the pod.
Do it for the pod.
Yep.
It was. I enjoyed it. I thought it was great. And this is just very initial thoughts. I enjoyed it. It was good. It was a fair follow-up to the first one. It felt way safer than a lot of the other sequels for the other franchise characters, which confused me. I don't know if it's. I'm trying to be very careful not to be like, oh, like it wasn't Thor Ragnarok and that was a great, because even from like Captain America to Winter Soldier to Civil War is a very huge jump in quality. And not to say that they're bad, but just the things that they did to make them, even the story and the setup, incredibly different from the first movie to the second to the third is just, it's a huge spectrum.
Yeah, it's kind of interesting because I had a pretty similar initial thought. Like, in my mind, I kind of like Ant-Man 1 more.
I agree.
But I think the reason for that is, right, like you're saying, that this movie didn't feel like Ant-Man 2. It felt like the Wasp 1.
Yeah, that's kind of what it felt like.
It felt like the Wasp and Ant-Man.
Yep.
I think Ant-Man was the sidekick in this movie.
Yep.
Because the whole movie is about like trying
Pym
to rescue
and
her.
Hope and getting mom
and
back.
like Pym is very central to the movie and their family dynamic and all this stuff, and he's kind of just along for the ride helping them.
Yep.
And you do get a little bit of character progression, but
Definitely.
I think that's why it feels the way it does, which maybe in some ways they set themselves up for ruining expectations in some sense, because people are expecting Ant-Man 2 and they really kind of got the Wasp 1.
Yeah, and
which isn't a bad thing in my mind.
No, not at all.
I think if you look at it through that lens, it makes a little bit more sense, at least in my mind. But
this is for people who watch anime, this is going to be a very easy to understand explanation, so I apologize for everyone else. Like, this movie felt like filler. Like, it was a filler movie. Like, it was enjoyable in its own right. It was fine.
Yeah.
There weren't like glaring things that I was like, oh, this movie was terrible, don't watch it, it's not worth your time. But it felt like a filler movie, where if you took this movie out of all the other, like, there are some of the other sequels that I'm like, you cannot miss this flick. Like, it's just a fun watch. And I feel like this one was one of those where it had little bits that it added to the story. Like, I know the post-credit scene was pretty detailed, and, granted, this movie also came out after Infinity War, so there's callbacks to that. I think my deal with this movie was I'm trying to be fair in balancing of, like, it was safe. It was just a safe movie. That's not a good thing or a bad thing. It was very safe. I think they could have done some crazier things with the story. Like, I almost wish that they, like, Ant-Man would have been working at X-Con the entire movie, and then him and, like, his 4 buddies again, like, doing that. And almost that if it would have followed them, I felt like it would have been closer to Ant-Man 1, because I think that's what made me love Ant-Man 1 so much, is it was new. Like, they completely took away the superhero formula that they had established so far, and like, hey, here's this dude who's like a criminal, and he's like going around, he has no desire to be a superhero or to do anything extraordinary, he has no background, and hey, he steals this suit, and it was interesting.
Yep.
And so I think it would have been more fun to ride along with the ex-con dudes and them doing their security business and have some antics there, and just have almost like a throwaway movie that's just written to be a comedy, because that's what Ant-Man 1 to me was, which I loved.
Yeah, I think that's the thing that I enjoyed about Ant-Man 1 was it took a step back from the MCU in some ways, and like it very much felt like a superhero version of a Paul Rudd like comedy film. Like
100%.
It was just down to earth. Like, we're going back to like the basic superhero film where like the superheroes just taking on the bad guy, but at the same time, like, kind of flipping that on its head because he's a criminal and the whole point is this whole thing, and there's like a bad guy and all this stuff. But it's not cosmic in the way that the MCU has tended to be, and I actually kind of appreciate that.
Yep.
I appreciated
100%.
it in its time when I saw it, and I appreciated it now just rewatching it on Friday. And the second one felt similar to me, but I agree with you. I think it felt safe in some ways.
Yeah,
like
and
it felt like it was relying too much on that, and not like there's so many references to Civil War. Like the movie happens after Civil War, and he's kind of like on house arrest because of what he did in Geneva or whatever. But he just I don't know, thinking on it, he just feels like a peripheral character. Like the movie's not about Ant-Man.
Yeah,
I can't think
very
like
true.
Like how did he progress as a character in the movie in some ways?
That to me is he didn't like,
Yeah.
and as I'm thinking about it, I think that was my complaint is it didn't feel memorable. Like it wasn't, and I think I want to be specific too about. So I think with Ant-Man 1, the things that stood out to me is first off, Luis is the best character in both Ant-Man movies,
Yep.
just hands down.
Yep.
He needs to be in every Ant-Man movie.
I love his stories.
Give him a superpower, just like, okay, so then there's this thing, and it's just like, I love how it cuts to them, and
Yep.
it's him narrating it. Like,
Yep.
that's like the funniest thing in the
Yep.
world to me. I absolutely, and this one, he's like, oh man, that was terrible. I'm Louise. It's just like,
Yep.
it's just so good. Like, I loved when he did that in the first one too. Like, he's just a fantastic, and then just T.I. and this other, like, I don't know if he's Russian or German or.
I think he's supposed to be Russian.
Yeah,
like a
so-
Russian hacker. Yeah.
Yeah, and so like it's this oddball mix of characters in a superhero movie, and I love that. And I think in the first one, like you said, it broke the formula, not in a way of like, we're subverting it, but it was like, we're gonna kind of do it.
It was basically like a heist movie,
Yep.
but a
Yeah,
superhero.
exactly, with like
He's
superheroes.
a superhero, but he's technically doing something bad. Like
Yeah.
he's not trying to save the world.
And it was fun, and
Yeah.
I liked, and Ant-Man became one of my preferred characters just from the fact of like he does not fit in any of this.
Yeah, and
and
even
he's just
watching
this-
Civil War, like he doesn't fit in at all.
And
He's
but
like,
it's
"Hey
great.
guys,
he's
I don't
like,
know
what's
why
going
I'm here."
on? Yeah. Or like when he's in the car and Hope's like, also spoiler alert for whatever people know.
Yeah. We'll put a tag
we'll
on
put it in. And Hope's like, like, oh, what were you up to? And he's like, well, like Cap called me, and she's like, Cap? He's like, Captain America.
That's what we
Well,
call him.
People who know him call him Cap, and it's just like
It's
stuff
like, well, I
that.
don't know.
where
I don't know if I really know him.
he's like, well, I don't like know him, but it's like
Yeah.
it's Cap. We knew him as Cap, and
Yeah.
so it was things like that where he's just so not in the world of these like gritty superheroes punching their way through stuff. He's just like this suburban dad
Mhm.
with like a suit that can shrink and grow, and that's it. And I feel like that's what made the first one fun and interesting and engaging, is it was just kind of its own thing. And I feel like they took away the brevity in a way, and they added stakes and stuff, but the brevity was there, and just kind of the lighthearted like dad jokes and like just goofing
Honestly,
around.
like Ant-Man was kind of the comedic relief in this movie.
That's exactly what it was.
Because all the scenes where like they're trying to get him back to his house before that funny youth pastor guy comes back, and like
Which that was
he
great.
was
I'm
pretty
also
funny
used
too.
to
He's
that.
I'm also a youth. He's like, wait, did you really want to get dinner?
Yeah, that was awesome.
So like there were funny moments like that, but it was like that was Ant-Man's kind of time to shine in
Right.
some ways.
Yeah.
So
I don't
it's
know.
hard to say because I walked away from it like enjoying it.
Like, it was
again.
fine.
I've seen it 3 times now, and like I liked it the third time still. Like it's a fun movie. It's a good movie. It just doesn't feel like Ant-Man 2.
It doesn't feel special. I feel,
Yeah.
and that's a very arbitrary term. I think
Yeah, it's
I wanted them to, especially with how this movie was set up, because I feel like this movie had the bummer situation of one following up the greatest movie from Marvel so far, and it came out like a month or two after that, which
Yep.
I think that was just kind of backing it into a corner. And then on top of that, I think they wrote themselves into a corner, because it had to be in a timeline where all this other stuff was happening. And so I wonder if the reason they didn't do kind of just a wacky adventure kind of movie, because they can't do it. Like, what else are they going to do? Like, all these other major events are happening. They can't, have Captain America cameo and like be a part of
Yeah.
it. It's got to be
I think-
later.
yeah.
So I wonder if the reason they didn't was so that they can kind of set up, and they had to make all this big hullabaloo about Hope and Pym's, or Mrs. Pym. I don't remember what
Well,
her
I
name
think
was.
they took the classic misstep of using a movie to set up another movie, because I
Yes.
think like the point of the movie was to establish like the relationship between him and Hope more, and kind of like their family dynamic with him kind of coming alongside there, which I think the movie does decently, but I think the payoff won't come until we see what happens in Infinity War, because I'm assuming somehow he'll be involved then, and
Well, I
then,
think
and
the
then I
mom
feel
will
like
be involved
Infinity
as
War will
well.
feel almost like a Ant-Man 2 maybe, because he's like trapped down there now
Right.
with what
So-
we see in the scene, and so
Right. And that's where I'm wondering too if what was her name? Jen? I can't remember.
I can't remember.
I just I
the
think
mom,
I
the
wrote
mom?
Mrs. Pym. That just made
Mrs.
sense.
Pym.
Mrs. Pym has that thingy where she like chills out Ghost or whatever and slows her particles down. So I'm betting that is going to play into some factor of like either bringing people back, or there's going to be some cinematic universe like piece to that power that she has
Yeah.
now, and that's she's going to either become somebody, or she's going to save somebody, or
Yeah,
something's going to happen.
I feel like
with
there
her.
are too many characters.
Yeah, it's
Because
getting a
like
little
you
overloaded.
get, because like Dr. Pym is like the original Ant-Man, but I do like that aspect of it where they kind of like tie in like, oh, the classic Ant-Man and Wasp versus the modern Ant-Man and Wasp. Like you don't get that in a lot of other comic book movies.
Yeah.
And so like you get that cool parallel. But yeah, you kind of get the sense that like there's Ant-Man, who's kind of a peripheral character in some ways, and then there's the Wasp, who's kind of the central character, because she, in the first movie, there's that whole tension, like she wants to be the one to wear the suit, she wants to be the one to do the thing, and it's kind of like this awkward father-daughter thing, and then he betrays them, and now she does get to wear the suit, and she's actually better than he is at his job, and now he's just the awkward bumbling idiot following her around in some ways, and so like you end up getting a movie about Ant-Man, or that's supposed to be about Ant-Man, that is just the Wasp trying to like save her family.
Yeah, more or less.
I feel like I remember all the funny moments, but I don't like the story is kind of just like, I feel like it just resolved too nicely. Like
I
they
agree.
save the mom, they save the bad guy. Like
Yeah.
nobody like in the first one, like the bad guy, you like actually hate the dude. He's like D-bag. You're
Yeah.
like, dude,
Right.
get off your high horse.
Yeah.
Like, and like his giant like aspirations about like just introducing all these mini soldiers into the world. I'm like, dude,
Right.
you're insane.
Yeah.
And in this one, the bad guy is just like a misguided youth.
It's like
basically.
Lawrence Fishburne,
And then she just
this
touches
other
her
girl, and if
temples,
all of
and
a sudden
boom,
she's
done.
cool. Yeah, and she's like, "Oh, I'm not freaking out anymore."
Yeah.
Yeah, I feel like maybe that's part of the blandness that came in this movie too, is that I don't want every side movie from these characters to be like, "Oh, here's this other guy threatening the whole world," and "Oh, here," because I mean that was one of the things I think that Spider-Man: Homecoming did really well, is it's a localized villain. He's not out to destroy
Yep.
New York. He's not trying to take over the world. It's just one guy doing his thing, and it's quarantined in a way.
Yep.
And I think with this movie is it was like too quarantined in a way that it just wasn't interesting, where it's like you have this character who gets this weird quirk basically of like phasing in and out of stuff, and she's geeking out and needs to be put back together, and I need to steal your mom's energy and all this, and it's just kind of like, okay, I'm just going along with you, and then when you get to it, I genuinely was surprised that they saved the mom. I legitimately was like, oh, she actually made it. Like I was like,
Yep.
they're gonna kill off everybody, like because
Yeah.
I was like, there has to be something
There
bad
has to be
that's
a
gonna
trick.
happen.
There has to be like, nope, they saved the mom, they saved the girl, everybody's good, I guess.
Yeah, and part of me was like, and again, I wonder if it just one of the other big issue was that there wasn't enough deep conflict, because there was a moment where I was like, ooh, this could go kind of dark, and that'd be kind of interesting, which is Ghost is walking up the stairs, and she turns to Fishburne's character. I can't remember what his science name dude
Yeah, I
is,
don't remember.
but she turns to him and she's like, we have to get that stuff back. There has to be a way. And she's like, he has a daughter, doesn't he? And I was like, ooh, like this is about to get dicey. Like that would be the ultimate catalyst to be like, this is about to get really interesting, because it's mom's at stake, daughter's at stake. life as we know it is at like all this stuff, and then but it's quarantined again. It's in a localized thing where it's like, wow, this character's dilemma and this character's dilemma, both their issue and what they're trying to save is a big deal, and they're trying to do it.
Mm-hmm.
Literally, he's like, and I thought like 4 or 5 times that Fishburne was gonna die because she was just gonna be like, well, screw you, I'm just gonna do it anyway and go kill him, but
That's
she
what I
never
thought.
did.
Yeah, I saw it already, and then the second time I watched it, I thought that was what was gonna happen
Yeah,
again.
because he literally just like stands up to her and he's like, no, I'm not doing that. And she's like, fine.
Storms off.
Just like
Yeah.
leaves, and I was like, whoa.
I agree. I think there was, especially relating to Ant-Man, there was no conflict. The only conflict was the fact that he couldn't get caught being away from.
Yeah.
Which was kind of just comedic. Like I said, he's just comedic relief.
He's like, whoa, I gotta get back
Like,
home before
I
the
got
police
back home.
show
I'm
up.
puking.
What's the deal with my ankle bracelet?
Which was
that's what it
funny
felt
to
like.
me, but it just felt like, comedic.
Well,
relief.
there was no stakes. Like
Yeah.
again, there were no stakes of like, if I don't make it home, they're gonna arrest me for 20 years. It was just like, I'm gonna go be in prison for life, man. Like that was it. It was like, it wasn't like, dude, you're gonna rob me of being with my daughter ever again because I'm gonna have to be in prison.
Mm-hmm.
And I don't know. They're just, I mean, these sound like major things, and in a way, from what Marvel has previously produced, they are to me. But at the same time, it's a perfect example of them just not pushing a creative idea to its fullest extent, is what it feels like. Because it wasn't a bad movie. Like it wasn't bad in some of the other movies I've seen bad, where you're like, this wasn't some of the bad DC movie bad. It almost felt like, I would equate it to probably like Justice League, where it's like, I didn't absolutely hate Justice League like I hated Batman v Superman, but like Justice League was fine. Like I was like, it had highlights, it had lowlights, it had moments that were fine, it had moments that were really edgy and were really dope. They had moments that were really melodramatic and just kind of like, I don't really understand. And not that they're 1-to-1 parallels, but it just, I walked away feeling like, it was all right.
Mm-hmm.
Like it was completely fine. I don't think people should feel bad watching it or having enjoyed it, but I also don't think it was super memorable.
Yeah.
I don't think I can pick out a specific moment other than like the truth serum scene that I was really like, that was pretty funny.
Yeah.
I like that.
I love the truth.
But
pretty much anything with the ex-cons.
yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
It was like, or like their whole like arguing over the pastry budget. And he's like, we're going to go bankrupt. You can't buy fancy pastries.
Yeah.
Stuff like that. But I don't know. What do you think? So, I mean, we've kind of aired all our grievances and stuff. I hate to say it, but I it's not that I don't have good things to say, but it's just, there's nothing like, oh, this was spectacular. It was very like,
yeah, I would
was all
say
right.
like, because I mean I've seen it 2 times or 3 times. I don't remember. I think I've seen it 2 times because I've seen the first one 3 times. Because I watched it with Evan once. I watched it before I saw this one the first time, and then I watched it before I saw it the second time too. And yeah, I mean, in my mind, like I would watch it again. Like,
Yeah,
it's
same.
a good movie and it's a fun movie, but I think there's certain aspects about it. It's like it's hard to pick out any one thing. I think a lot of my favorite scenes were things that I should have been the focus of the movie.
yeah,
But I think
agree.
The problem is they're trying to establish a character while they're trying to establish the Wasp as a character. And so the whole movie is kind of like her character arc and trying to save her mom and deal with her dad and deal with this guy who betrayed her for whatever. But all while still trying to be an Ant-Man movie. And I think it should have been a Wasp movie.
They should have just called it the Wasp, in
Yeah.
my opinion.
Because you can't call it the Wasp and Ant-Man, because I
Right.
feel like the classic phrase from the comics is Ant-Man and the Wasp.
Yeah,
But it should have just been a Wasp movie,
I
which
agree.
I don't blame them for not doing that, because nobody probably would have went to see it, because it's like, who's the Wasp? Like, because Ant-Man,
They didn't know who Ant-Man was.
Ant-Man's basically
Yeah.
the character.
Yeah, exactly.
But I think that's what this was. This was the Wasp.
Mm-hmm.
Because that's what it seems like when you're watching it. Like, this
Yeah.
movie is not about his character in
No.
in really any meaningful sense. Like, he's just there to be like her partner, basically.
Yeah.
Because in every fight scene, like, he's the one he can't even fly. He doesn't have
Like
any
his suit is
phasers. Like,
busted.
she's the
and-
one who's like just decking people and whatever.
Yeah.
And in my mind, that's not a bad thing. Those parts are fun, and I think she's a good actress. So, It'll be interesting to see what they do, but yeah, it's kind of hard to pick out, like, it's weird because it feels like we're ragging on it, and I don't want to rag on it because I do think it's a decent movie.
Yeah.
But I don't know what to say about it that would like make it sound good.
Right. Yeah.
I feel like we're yeah, I think the humor in it is really well done. I think a lot of the comedic timing is just made me like chuckle out loud. Like all of the scenes with the FBI guy in his house, like interacting with him, because he was kind of like that adorable awkwardness. Like you feel bad for him, but it's kind of funny, and like Or the scenes with him and his daughter were pretty heartfelt, I thought.
Yep.
I loved the truth serum part.
That was hilarious.
Like when I was watching it, I remembered it from the first time, and I was like laughing before things happened. And I was like, "Oh gosh, this part is awesome." Yeah, pretty much anything with him. That's why, like when you said it should have been like a movie about them, the ex-cons, and kind of like another heist movie, basically. I think it would have been. That's the kind of movie I actually kind of wanted to see.
Yeah.
So it's. I think expectations versus reality is what's it's kind of shaking
it
up
agree.
because like
I would agree.
If it was marketed and portrayed and kind of presented as a different kind of movie, I think it would be easier to say certain things about it.
Yep.
But because of what we're expecting it to be, and because of what we're led to believe it should be, because it's called Ant-Man and the Wasp, then you kind of get let down by what transpires because it's really the Wasp with sidekick Ant-Man.
Yep.
So I don't know. I think there are a lot of positives about it. I think like I said, the comedic timing. I love all the characters, even though it focuses on the wrong ones at some point. Like, I actually liked Hank Pym more in this movie than the first one.
Yeah.
I thought, like, in the first one, he just seemed selfish.
Overly crotchety.
Yeah, overly crotchety. He's like, why are you treating your daughter so poorly? Like, why are you being so cold towards this guy you're asking to risk his life?
Right.
Like, but in the second one, he kind of opened up more. Even though he had more reason to be mad and cold towards Ant-Man's character, he kind of, like, opened up more, I felt like. So I did like that aspect of it. I think all of the characters are well-rounded, and I like the Wasp's character more in this one, too. So
Yep.
And I'm glad she got rid of that haircut from the first one. She had, like, this weird, like that...
Oh, that,
like the lady from Jurassic Park. Like
the triangle, or, like, the square cut.
Like the square cut, where you're just like, oh, you're pretentious. I can already tell.
High society.
So, I don't know. I feel like the characters are what's good. I think everything else but the story kind of works.
Yeah.
I think the story is what doesn't work as well in this one.
And I think the reason it doesn't work well is because it's just not interesting. Like there's
no stakes. There's no like major conflict because everything just kind of resolves. And the bad guy is just
some southern dude with like this and
who even was that? Like,
I have no idea.
He posed
man.
no threat at all.
I have no idea. He was just funny
because
to
like
me.
the major bad guy was that girl phasing in and out of things. Which when I remember seeing the trailers and seeing that like ghost person,
like, oh, she's gonna mess somebody up.
But like she didn't do anything threatening. No. Like she like did the through the neck thing and like whatever, but she never actually showed that she would.
I think she killed one person.
Okay.
In the movie, and it was like that d-bag guy who was dirty for the FBI.
Oh, okay.
When she takes the building back.
Yeah.
Like I felt like, oh, you're just like a tragic story kid. Like here you are. And you're just like, my life sucked, and I lost my parents, and here's Lawrence Fishburne.
She kind of felt like a knockoff, like Killmonger of sorts.
Yeah, kind of.
Like the villain that you kind of get, you feel for him, but at the same time, like
they're not all
do
there.
Evil things in the name of like retribution.
Right.
And she kind of felt like it was trying to be that sort of character, like, oh, she's just misguided, like she needs like. She's been in pain.
She just hurts.
She's been in pain her entire life.
Yeah, exactly.
But like there was no, like you said, there's no payoff because
there's no stakes. Like it's
like she didn't do anything.
Well,
threatening.
I'm gonna die.
Like,
it's like
if she would have threatened the daughter, boom. But then that would have made it about Ant-Man. See, I think this is the Wasp. The movie is about the Wasp. So don't go into the movie thinking it's Ant-Man 2. Go into the movie watching it as the Wasp 1 with Ant-Man.
Yeah, with Ant-Man.
And I'm just really interested to see what happens in Infinity War. So
yeah, I just for whatever reason I just couldn't help but picture like I was expecting a very different movie, I think.
Yep.
And so all my gripes are not with what was there, it was with what I anticipated it to be.
Yeah.
Just out of the fact of wow, this is what they did really well with Ant-Man 1. This is how all the other movies in the cinematic universe have moved forward and progressed in style and tone and all this stuff. They're going to do the same thing here. And they didn't. And it was very square one. It felt like square one.
It was square one.
It felt like Ant-Man 1.
It was the first Marvel movie again, basically.
Exactly. And
we were expecting a second Marvel movie.
Yes, because that's kind of how I feel like I've gone into movies and why I've still been able to maintain a semblance of enjoyment out of all of them is, people are like, oh, Black Panther 1, here comes another string of superhero movies. I was like, yeah, but that one was very different than all the other ones. And Ragnarok versus Dark World versus Thor 1 and Cap 2, and like all of them were very different. And granted, the quality ranged between all of them, but they were consistent. They were all consistently moving forward in some direction.
Yep.
And I feel like I was expecting that from this one, especially after coming off Infinity War, which I just think that was like the worst thing you could do to any of the movies that were going to follow up, which,
I think this should have came out the year before if they would have timed it differently.
Yeah, and
because it came out after Civil War, so like it's not like the timeline would have been off because Civil War was like 2016, wasn't it?
Yes.
So they could have done 2017.
Yeah, and I
mean,
it
would have felt closer.
This is
the
where
after
I'm
credit
interested.
scene.
But that's what I'm wondering is, I might take some of these things back after Infinity War Part 2 or Avengers 5 or whatever the heck they're gonna call it, only because if this was literally. Excuse me.
Literally. Oh gosh.
Like I'm that excited for Avengers 5. I can't say it without wanting to puke. I think I don't know, man. If this movie ended up literally just existing and having to be made to set up events that are going to happen in 5.
I'm afraid that's what it was.
And I feel like I'd be fine with that, but I almost wanted to know that in a way. But I don't, and that's an unfair request. Like they can't. There's no way to do that. I feel like
because of the after credit scene, that's what
there's gotta
feels
be.
Like this was.
Oh yeah, because otherwise, if you take that out, who the frick cares where you put this movie? Like as long as it comes after Civil War,
that it's after Civil War.
That's it.
Yep.
So like you could have had this come out whenever, but I think that they're probably doing something, and that just makes me think that
they made a lot of allusions to how powerful that technology is.
Yes.
So I feel like he hasn't played a very powerful role yet in the MCU because Civil War he was kind of just a bumbling, useless idiot, other than towering over everybody. So it'll be interesting to see how the technology and how her like special super duper powers play into things.
Right.
So
I wouldn't be surprised if we see some people resurrected from the dust, or if there's gonna be, I don't know.
Yeah.
Maybe that's the thing that they use to put the stones back together, or they do something crazy.
It's just it's insane. Like I feel like the amount of possibilities at this point of what could transpire is just crazy.
It's a lot.
Because like the technology revealed in this movie, whatever happens in Captain Marvel is just going to be nuts. And we know that he pages her after whatever in the after credit scene. And so like there's so many different characters moving in now that weren't in that movie that it's just like, dude, what is going to happen here?
Yep. And so only because you mentioned it, and I just happened to see a banner trailer today, and I am so freaking excited for Captain Marvel. So.
Yeah, they released that was another news item. They released a trailer for that.
It's just,
and supposedly we're supposed to be getting a trailer for Avengers 5 soon. So because some people are thinking the Video Game Awards because the Russo brothers are hosting it.
Oh, interesting.
Or they're the ones who are like announcing the award.
Interesting.
So people are
that'd be cool. Are you gonna do it?
So,
but it was it was like a scene where she's walking on a bus and she's going through, and there's all these people like looking at her, kind of eyeballing her, and there's this grandma who's like sitting there, and she's got this stupid grin, and she's like, just pimp slaps her in the face, and this whole brouhaha breaks out on the bus between her and this grandma. I was like, this movie is gonna be amazing. This is gonna be so dope.
It takes place in the 90s too, so it'll be interesting seeing all the.
Dude.
We haven't gotten to the 90s nostalgia movie phase yet, so this will be like the first, the first in a wave.
Yep. I need some Rocko's Modern Life callbacks. I need some Hanna-Barbera cartoon callbacks. It'll be great.
Yep.
This movie was fine. I think we're gonna talk around in circles basically to death.
I think it's worth watching if you're into the MCU. If you're in the fatigue, this one might just exasperate that fatigue some more and not really invigorate it.
I would agree. I think it's worth watching with the assumption that it's going to play some kind of role into the detailed events of Avengers 5, but I don't know what
it kind of makes me afraid a little bit for the future of the MCU. Like, if they're going to start relying too heavily on knowledge of past things, or like, oh, you need to, like, this movie won't make as much sense until you see the next movie. And, like, I don't think that's fully what this movie's doing, but I think this movie will make a little more sense once Avengers 5 comes out. I just don't want to see that continue to happen. Like, I liked Ant-Man 1 because it felt like a standalone superhero film. And a lot of the other, like, Ragnarok still feels like a standalone superhero film. And this one almost felt like you're going to need to see the next one.
And and maybe a good comparison is, like, maybe the reason we didn't like Daredevil season 3 as much as the other seasons is because we missed Defenders. And I think, to me, this movie felt like probably what the Defenders was for, you know, and some of those other shows where it's like, I'm not getting anything out of these other shows. I'm just watching another
I'm just watching
show.
them so I get the stuff in the one I want to watch.
Exactly. And I feel like that's the difference that the other movies did is, yes, they all were tied together and you did have to kind of know events, but it was more like I was seeing something in its own right. I was getting the value of seeing it in its own right.
Mm-hmm.
And now I'm getting the payoff from that to then have information of, like, catching little tidbits when there's little quips that are thrown out and stuff like that. Whereas this movie, I think, was just, like I said from the very beginning, it was just filler. It was filler. It was fine. It was generic. It wasn't bad. It was a solid 6.5, 7. It was just very,
yeah.
That's it. That's all I got.
I think I agree.
Cool.
Yeah.
Well, with that, we're gonna sign off. But before we do that, as we usually do, we're going to let you know about where you can find this show. You can find this show on iTunes, Google Play, Stitcher, TuneIn Radio, YouTube, Spotify. Did I miss anything? No,
I don't think so. I think that's everything.
I didn't say it in my usual rhythm, so I think I freaked out for a second. I was like, I forgot one. So that's where you can find all those things. You can follow us on Twitter and Instagram at I am Phil Sorensen, Six Wing Creative, and at Pop Culture Punks. And Zach also is C. San Pellegrino on Twitter. And you can follow him. I feel like I'm just kind of like, oh, you can follow him. Dude, it's late. This is why we don't do this.
This is why we don't do it on weekdays.
This is why we don't do this. What else we got? Merch. And as we told you, there are 2 new shirts that just went up today, which is the day we were recording, which is whenever you hear this episode, so they will be up by then. And by the time you listen to this episode, there will be 2 more shirts up. Posy Vibes shirt, and a dining out hierarchy shirt. Those will be out by the time the release of this episode happens. You can also email us, send us things to talk about at
Still
Pop
doing
Culture
the giveaway.
Punks. Still doing the giveaway. Come on, peeps. Get with it.
Get that free merch.
Get free stuff, man. We're literally
shoot us an email.
We're
with your
literally
favorite,
happy to do it. Y'all are free marketing.
shoot us your favorite.
That's how we see it.
Or an email with your favorite episode or episode moment.
Yep.
Or favorite inside joke.
Yep.
Maybe we'll make a shirt of it.
Yeah. I'd do it.
Speaking of emails, Marky Mark sent us a
that
hilarious
glorious poster
diabetic
of
horse. Yeah. So
yeah,
shout out to our first fan mail.
Yep. So the pre-poster of what will be soon made of once Zach gets back. I think he's coming back to the States for a couple months for his break.
Oh.
So yeah. Cool. So I'll get a photo of him, and as soon as I get a full body photo of him, I'll make a ridiculous
horse named Diabetes.
A horse named Diabetes, the movie. Oh my goodness.
Oh gosh.
Anyway, so that's that. Yeah, reach out, please. We'd love to hear from people and interact, and
more episode ideas are always welcome too.
Yep. Anything. Well, not anything. Most things.
Yeah.
So
most things.
Yeah, that's it, dude. I'm tired.
I'm tired too.
I still got to go work out. I planned this week when I was going to the gym. And today was one of those days, and I was like, it'll be great. I'll feel productive. And right now, I'm just like, frick.
Screw that.
I don't want to do that. But it'll be good for me.
I'm going home and playing Red Dead, so.
You suck. Boy. That's all right, boy.
That's all right, boy. You're all right, boy.
You're all right, boy. That's the one thing I want to play that game more for is just just the little quips here and there. Howdy. How's it going?
Dude, I was walking through. I don't know how far you made it, but I was walking through like the big city you get to eventually.
I've made it there. I'm not in the story,
Denis.
but I've gone to visit.
Okay, yeah, same. And then I like went there before the story that brings you there, and it like kind of like jarred me. I was like, oh, I've already been here before, guys.
It's like I know where everything is.
But yeah, I was like walking through town. It was super busy, and I don't know if you can do like an Assassin's Creed thing where you're like gently push people aside, because
you're just
otherwise
running
you just
into
run
people
into people. And I like plowed over this like little Asian lady, and she just starts booking it. She's like, I'm calling the cops, and I'm like, what? I was just trying to get through the crowd. I'm like chasing after her, yelling at her like, hey, stop. And I was about ready to pull out the lasso and be like, all right, calm down,
Like, relax.
nobody's
lady.
ratting me out. But she got to the cops, and I had to pay him like $5 to get out of jail.
It's expensive bumping people in public.
Yeah, so.
But that's
Fun
it.
game.
We'll catch y'all on the next one. And until that, we bid you a Marvel Cinematic Universe fond cowabunga.
Voices in my heart tell me to throw it all away, to toss it in the wind and forget yesterday. But the crowd comes singing back with that same old song. You've got bills you gotta pay. What about job security? But I've been dreaming about packing it all up, 'cause the war in me just won't